Commander Taho Kim sat alone in the control room of his small survey ship, the Horizon. The soft hum of equipment filled the silence as he stared at the strange moon below. 6 months into his mission to explore this distant part of space, and loneliness had become his constant companion. He sipped his coffee and checked the scanning equipment again. The moon's surface was mostly barren rock with odd mineral formations that Earth scientists were eager to study. Nothing particularly exciting, but important work nonetheless. The sudden beeping of an alert made him jump, spilling coffee on his uniform. Warning: unidentified energy signature detected on lunar surface, announced the ship's AI in its flat voice. Taho frowned at the readout. Show me location and composition analysis. A holographic map appeared, highlighting a section of the moon's northern hemisphere. Energy signature consistent with advanced technology. Materials unknown. One life sign detected, weak but present. His heart raced. This was no natural phenomenon. Plot landing coordinates near the signature. Prepare EVA suit. Within an hour, Taho guided his landing module to the surface. Through the viewport, he could see something shimmering against the gray landscape. Wreckage of some kind, partially buried in moon dust. Too small for a major vessel, perhaps an escape pod or research craft. Taho sealed his helmet and stepped out onto the dusty surface. Each step sent up small clouds in the low gravity as he approached the crash site. The craft was unlike anything humans had built. Its metal seemed to shift colors under the starlight, and its design followed curves and patterns that felt somehow organic. A section of the hull had split open, revealing the dark interior. Taho activated his suit lights and carefully climbed inside. The air was breathable according to his sensors, but he kept his helmet on as he searched through the damaged compartments. Most of the systems were dead, with occasional sparks flashing from damaged circuits. Then he saw her. In what appeared to be the main cabin, a figure was trapped beneath a fallen section of equipment. At first glance, she looked almost human, humanoid at least, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a face with recognizable features. But her skin was pale blue, with delicate silver markings that seemed to pulse with faint light. Her eyes, when they fluttered open at his approach, were large and entirely silver with no visible pupils. She was clearly injured, breathing in quick, shallow gasps. "I'm here to help," Taho said automatically, though he knew she couldn't understand him. He held up his empty hands to show he meant no harm. The alien's silver eyes widened in fear, but she remained still as he approached. The markings on her skin flashed more rapidly, changing from silver to a pale yellow. The ship's systems suddenly sparked violently around them. A warning flashed across Taho's helmet display. Energy surge detected. Explosion imminent. There was no time for careful introductions. Taho quickly assessed how to free her from the debris and moved the heaviest piece aside. The alien winced in pain, but made no sound as he carefully lifted her. She was surprisingly light in the moon's gravity. "We need to leave now," he said, gesturing toward the exit with urgent movements. Whether she understood his words or just his tone, the alien stopped resisting. Her slim arms wrapped around his neck as he carried her out of the damaged craft. They had barely made it 50 meters when the ship erupted in a brilliant flash of blue-white light. The force knocked them both forward, but Taho managed to twist his body to shield the alien from the impact. When the dust settled, they lay on the lunar surface looking at each other. Under the endless stars, human and alien regarded one another with equal curiosity. Taho removed his helmet now that his sensors confirmed the air was safe. "My name is Taho," he said, pointing to himself. The alien watched him carefully, the markings on her skin shifting to a calm blue color. She raised a slender hand to her chest and spoke a word that sounded like music. "Era," she said, her voice clear even in the thin atmosphere. 3 days had passed since Taho brought Era aboard the Horizon. The medical bay had become her temporary home while her injuries healed. The ship's basic medical equipment worked on her alien physiology better than Taeho had expected, though he remained cautious with the treatments. Ship's log, Day 3 with our guest. Taeho spoke as he recorded his daily report. The alien, Aura, is recovering well. No signs of infection or rejection of our medical supplies. Communication remains our biggest challenge. He glanced at the monitor showing Era in the medbay. She sat cross-legged on the bed, examining a tablet he had given her with pictures of Earth and humans. Her blue skin had regained its healthy glow, and the silver markings that covered her arms and face pulsed gently as she studied the images. Taeho grabbed a tray of food samples and headed to see her. The door slid open with a soft hiss, and Era looked up. The markings on her face brightened when she saw him. "Good morning," Taeho said with a smile, placing the tray on a table. "How are you feeling today?" Era tilted her head, clearly not understanding his words. She touched her chest and said something in her musical language. Only one word was recognizable. Era. Taeho pointed to himself. Taeho. Taeho, she repeated perfectly, her voice like chimes in the wind. He pointed to the tray. "Food, for you to try." The ship's AI had been running analysis on Era's biology and determined several Earth foods should be safe for her to eat. Taeho showed her each item, taking small bites first to demonstrate they were safe. Era watched with interest, her markings shifting to a curious purple color. She picked up a slice of apple and sniffed it before taking a tiny bite. Her eyes widened, and the markings on her face flashed bright pink. She quickly took another bite, clearly enjoying the taste. "You like that?" Taeho laughed. "It's called apple." "A pole," Era attempted, pointing at the fruit. Taeho nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, apple." She tried the other foods, bread, rice, and a protein supplement, with varying reactions. Rice earned another pink flash of her markings, while the protein supplement made her wrinkle her nose in disgust. After eating, Taeho activated the translation program he had been developing. The AI had been analyzing Era's speech patterns and comparing them to human languages, looking for patterns and structure. "Let's try this again," Taeho said, pulling up a simple picture book on his tablet. He pointed to an image of water. "Water." Era studied the image and said a word in her language. The AI recorded both words, creating a simple dictionary entry. They continued with basic objects: star, ship, food, person, building a rudimentary vocabulary. After an hour, the AI announced, "Basic translation matrix established. Effectiveness estimated at 30% for concrete nouns, 15% for actions." It wasn't much, but it was a start. Taeho activated the translation program and asked a simple question: "Where is your home?" The AI translated his words into sounds that approximated Era's language. Her markings flashed with surprise at hearing something close to her own speech. She responded with a series of musical phrases. The AI translated, "Far, many stars between." Taeho pointed out the viewport at the stars. "Which direction?" Era studied the star field, then pointed to a cluster barely visible to the human eye. Her markings dimmed slightly, and Taeho wondered if she was homesick. Later that evening, as they sat in the observation dome sharing another meal, a strange noise came from Era. It took Taeho a moment to realize she was attempting to hum along with the soft classical music playing through the ship's speakers. He smiled and hummed the melody for her. Era's markings shifted to a warm gold color as she tried again, matching his notes perfectly this time. Music, it seemed, might be a universal language. "My people," Era said through the crude translator, touching her chest. Then she pointed to various star systems, many worlds. She pointed to Taeho, then to the image of Earth on a nearby screen. "Humans, one world." Taeho nodded. "For now. One day, maybe more." Era's expression changed as she pulled up an image of Earth's military vehicles on her tablet. Her markings flickered to an anxious yellow. "Humans fight. danger. Tai-ho sighed, unsure how to explain humanity's complex history. Sometimes, but also create, build, explore. He gestured around the ship, then to the stars. Era studied him for a long moment. Then she reached out and lightly touched his hand. Her skin was cooler than human temperature, but soft. Tai-ho explore. Tai-ho help Era, not danger. He smiled, relieved she understood. That's right. As the ship continued its silent journey through space, human and alien sat together, separated by biology and culture, but connected by the universal language of kindness and curiosity. The barriers between them were still high, but with each passing day, they found new ways to lower them, one word at a time. The alarm blared through the horizon at exactly 3:47 ship time. Tai-ho bolted upright from sleep, his heart racing. "Emergency alert. Unknown vessel approaching," announced the ship's eye in its calm voice. Tai-ho rushed to the bridge, nearly colliding with Era in the corridor. Her silver markings were pulsing rapidly with pale blue light. Fear, he had learned. "What is happening?" she asked, her command of basic English much improved after weeks together. "Another ship," Tai-ho replied as they reached the bridge. "Very big." The main screen showed a massive vessel approaching their position. It was beautiful and alien, with the same organic curves and color-shifting metal as Era's crashed ship, but at least 20 times larger. Era's markings flashed bright yellow. "Lumi ship," she whispered. "My people." Tai-ho glanced at her. "Friends?" She hesitated. "Not friends. Council. Leaders." She touched her chest, where her markings formed a unique pattern. "They track this. My life signal." Before Tai-ho could respond, the communication system activated. "Incoming transmission," said the eye. The screen filled with the image of 3 Lumi. They resembled Ara, but their blue skin was darker, and their markings formed more complex patterns. The one in the center wore what looked like ornate armor across his shoulders. The center figure spoke in the musical Lumi language. Ara responded, her tone respectful but firm. "What are they saying?" Tai-ho asked quietly. Ara turned to him. "This is Director Su. He says I must return. They came to rescue me." She hesitated. "He says humans are dangerous, not to be trusted." Director Su spoke again, his tone sharper when he noticed their interaction. "He asks if you are my captor," Era translated. Tai-ho frowned. "Tell him I rescued you. You are my guest, free to leave any time." As Era translated, the expressions of the Lumi Council members changed from stern to confused. Their markings shifted through shades of purple and blue. Director Su responded with what sounded like a question. "He does not understand why you helped me," Era explained. "The Lumi have watched humans from far away. They see only your wars, your violence to each other, and your world." Tai-ho stepped forward. "May I speak to them directly?" Era nodded and explained to the council that Tai-ho wished to address them. Director Su inclined his head slightly in permission. "My name is Commander Tai-ho Kim of Earth," he began, speaking slowly so Era could translate. "I found Era injured and alone. Where I come from, we help those in need, regardless of where they're from. She has been my guest and my friend." As Era translated, the council members exchanged glances. Director Su's markings flashed with skepticism. "He says words are easy," Era translated his response. "Actions matter. Humans say peace but create weapons." "Show them the logs," Tai-ho suggested. "From when I found you." Era typed commands into the ship's computer, bringing up the visual logs from Tai-ho's EVA suit. The council watched silently as the recording showed Tai-ho discovering Era, freeing her from the wreckage, and carrying her to safety moments before the explosion. When the recording ended, the Lumi council members were silent. Their markings pulsed with colors Tai-ho couldn't interpret. "What can we do?" she asked. Tai-ho thought for a moment. "We need to show them what we've learned, that differences can be strengths when shared. When the meeting resumed, Tai-ho asked permission to speak freely. Captain Jin, Director Su, he began, for weeks, Ara and I have lived together on my ship. We were strangers with different biology, language, and culture. We had every reason to fear each other. Ara continued. Instead, we found ways to communicate, to help each other. Tai-ho saved my life, not because I was Lumi, but because I needed help. The Lumi have technological advances that would benefit Earth, Tai-ho added, and humans have a spirit of exploration and adaptation that could help the Lumi. We are stronger together than apart. Director Su's markings shifted to thoughtful blue. What do you propose? A cultural exchange, Tai-ho suggested. Knowledge sharing under careful protocols. No weapons or military technology. Just science, art, medicine. Captain Jin considered this. Earth Command would need assurances. As would the Lumi Council, said Director Su. Then let us be the first, Ara said boldly. I request to remain with Tai-ho as Lumi ambassador to humans. The room fell silent. Director Su's markings flashed with surprise. Is this what you truly wish? He asked her in their language. It is, she replied. I have seen what is possible. After hours more discussion, an agreement was reached. Ara would stay aboard the Horizon as the first official Lumi representative to humans. The ship would return to Earth with Captain Jin's escort. A formal diplomatic channel would be established between Earth and the Lumi homeworld. 1 week later, as the Horizon prepared for its journey home, Tai-ho and Ara stood in the observation dome, watching the Lumi ship depart. Its beautiful hull shimmered as it accelerated away, heading back to distant stars. Are you sad to see them go? Tai-ho asked. Ara's markings glowed the soft rose color he had come to recognize as contentment. No, my place is here now. We have much work to do. Tai-ho smiled. Earth will be very different from anything you've known. I am not afraid, she said, her silver eyes reflecting the stars. New beginnings should be a little frightening. It means they matter. As the Horizon turned toward Earth, Tai-ho thought about the incredible journey ahead, not just the physical distance, but the new path their two species would walk together, all because he had once reached out a hand to a stranger among the stars. The Earth military vessel Phoenix hovered near the horizon, its weapon systems on standby, but not active. Across from it, the massive Lumi ship waited silently. 2 days had passed since the tense first encounter, and both sides had agreed to negotiations. Tai-ho adjusted his formal uniform and looked at Ara, who wore traditional Lumi garments Director Su had sent over, flowing blue fabric with silver threads that complemented her natural markings. Are you ready? He asked. Ara's markings pulsed with a mix of gold and pink, determination and excitement. Yes, today everything changes. They boarded the shuttle that would take them to the neutral meeting space, a small station hastily set up between the ships. Captain Jin of the Phoenix had agreed to meet with Director Su and 2 other Lumi Council members. Tai-ho and Ara would serve as mediators. Remember, Tai-ho said as they approached the station, Captain Jin doesn't know you as I do. She will be cautious. Ara nodded. And Director Su still fears humans, despite what you showed him. The shuttle docked, and they entered the meeting room. It was divided into 2 sections with a central table. Captain Jin and 2 Earth officers stood on one side, while Director Su and 2 Luma waited on the other. The tension in the room was thick enough to touch. Welcome, Tai-ho began. Thank you all for agreeing to this historic meeting. Ara translated his words for the Lumi, though Director Su had been fitted with a translation device. Captain Jin's stern expression didn't change as she studied the aliens. Commander Kim, said Captain Jin, I must express Earth Command's concern about your unauthorized first contact with an unknown species. With respect, Captain, Tai-ho replied. There was no time for authorization. Ara would have died. Director Su spoke, his musical voice strange through the translator. The Lumi Council wishes to understand why humans have ventured so far into space. Are you seeking resources? Territories? Captain Jin straightened. We explore to learn, to understand the universe better. The translator conveyed her words, but Director Sue's markings flashed skeptical orange. Your history suggests other motives. Wars. Conquests. We have made mistakes, Captain Jin admitted, but we learned from them. The conversation continued, tense but civil. Taiho noticed how Era interjected occasionally, explaining cultural nuances that the translation devices missed. When Director Sue mentioned human aggression, she reminded him of Taiho's rescue. When Captain Jin questioned Lumi intentions, Era explained their traditionally cautious approach to other species. After 2 hours, they took a break. Taiho and Era stepped into a small side room. They are both afraid, Era said, her markings dim with concern. Taiho nodded. Fear is natural when meeting something new and powerful. What can we do? She asked. Taiho thought for a moment. We need to show them what we've learned, that differences can be strengths when shared. When the meeting resumed, Taiho asked permission to speak freely. Captain Jin. Director Sue, he began. For weeks, Ara and I have lived together on my ship. We were strangers with different biology, language, and culture. We had every reason to fear each other. Era continued. Instead, we found ways to communicate, to help each other. Taiho saved my life, not because I was Lumi, but because I needed help. The Lumi have technological advances that would benefit Earth, Taiho added, and humans have a spirit of exploration and adaptation that could help the Lumi. We are stronger together than apart. Director Sue's markings shifted to thoughtful blue. What do you propose? A cultural exchange, Taiho suggested. Knowledge sharing under careful protocols. No weapons or military technology. Just science, art, medicine. Captain Jin considered this. Earth Command would need assurances. As would the Lumi Council, said Director Sue. Then let us be the first, Era said boldly. I request to remain with Taiho as Lumi ambassador to humans. The room fell silent. Director Sue's markings flashed with surprise. Is this what you truly wish? He asked her in their language. It is, she replied. I have seen what is possible. After hours more discussion, an agreement was reached. Era would stay aboard the Horizon as the first official Lumi representative to humans. The ship would return to Earth with Captain Jin's escort. A formal diplomatic channel would be established between Earth and the Lumi homeworld. 1 week later, as the Horizon prepared for its journey home, Taiho and Era stood in the observation dome, watching the Lumi ship depart. Its beautiful hull shimmered as it accelerated away, heading back to distant stars. Are you sad to see them go? Taiho asked. Era's markings glowed the soft rose color he had come to recognize as contentment. No, my place is here now. We have much work to do. Taiho smiled. Earth will be very different from anything you've known. I am not afraid, she said, her silver eyes reflecting the stars. New beginnings should be a little frightening. It means they matter. As the Horizon turned toward Earth, Taiho thought about the incredible journey ahead, not just the physical distance, but the new path their two species would walk together, all because he had once reached out a hand to a stranger among the stars. Standing between two potentially hostile forces, Taiho and Era worked frantically to prevent the first meeting between their species from turning into a disaster. Everything now depended on whether they could convince both sides that understanding was possible between such different worlds. Taiho smiled and repeated, Aura. He pointed to his landing module. That's my ship. I can help you there. Though she couldn't understand his words, Era seemed to grasp his meaning. She attempted to stand but stumbled, clearly injured from the crash. Without hesitation, Taiho offered his support, and together they made their slow way back to his module under the alien sky. Two beings from different worlds, brought together by chance in this remote corner of space, neither knowing how this unexpected encounter would change both their lives forever.